Well, it was another crazy weekend in sports. The Cubs clinch. Landry Jones survived. And a big upset in Happy Valley. Welcome to Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. It is Greg Banks live this evening in the studio, joined by Jimmy Ty in Berks County down around the Philadelphia area, and Dave Shannon live in Altoona. How you doing this evening, Jimmy? And how you doing this evening, Dave?
It's a great time to be a sports fan, isn't it?
Man, everything's happening this week. Matter of fact, we've got hockey, we've got baseball, football tonight. We'll talk more about that. And the NBA, which, by the way, gets started tomorrow, I believe. And we'll talk to you throughout the season, Jimmy. But first, let's talk a little bit about that Steeler game yesterday. Landry Jones survived another mishap, as it were. Steelers, they look good at some times and look bad other times. Jimmy, your estimation of that game, because we knew going in, I don't think any of you predicted that Patriots were going to get beat, but it was close there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a close game, but the one thing I noticed about the game, well, it was 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left. You got to do your hurry up offense
right.
First off, right?
Uh-huh.
Do 2-minute drill, whatever Tomlin practices in practice, whatever.
Right.
They're in the huddle.
Okay, so they went to the
huddle. Hurry up.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Well,
Then again, we're talking about a guy who is not acclimated like Ben is, Dave.
But still,
Yeah.
he has the experience.
Well, he has the
experience.
I think prior to him going in yesterday, Dave, and I may be wrong, I thought he only had 3 appearances where he actually started in his whole career prior to that, right?
Yeah, those games last year, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there again, I don't know. Did you see any shining star in that game, or did you see anything that was worth maybe writing home about?
Yeah, 83, like Kobe Hamilton.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. He certainly had a star on him. I think overall, I mean, as Landry Jones goes and the lack of experience that he has,
right.
I thought he quarterbacked a pretty competent game. And there's play calling that comes from the sideline. All I know is the play calling in the red zone sucked.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I never saw a worse, and Mike Tomlin, of course, actually complained about that as he went off the field at halftime. It did not get any better after halftime. The decision-making in the red zone was just horrible. It's great to pile up yardage running between the 20s, but it's what happens when you get inside the other team's 20,
right,
in particular, that's going to determine whether you win the game, and they were just horrible. And I was somewhat disappointed. I have not seen Boswell seem to be as out of sorts as he was yesterday as well. I've always considered him, since he started to kick last year, as almost automatic.
Well, do we know if there were any kind of weather concerns yesterday with the wind blowing in that end, for instance?
No.
Jimmy, let me ask you. Well, go ahead, Dave.
One of the things they did mention, Greg, in the broadcast, Jim Nance brought up, that they did fill in that segment
of the
stadium that is at the river. And they did fill that in, so they don't really have those wind issues like they used to have in that end of the field. So it's a more kicker-friendly field than what it once was.
Well, Jimmy, you think it was a matter of game management on the part of Landry Jones yesterday when they were in the red zone, or is that something that's up to the coach? Like Haley maybe should have taken him on the sideline and said, hey, listen, when we get down within 20 yards, I mean, these are the plays that you should be actually using.
No, I think Haley did a good job with what he did. I put the blame on Jones with his time management.
Right.
That's the big issue.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, that's what I saw was Landry Jones in his inexperience. If Ben was in there, it would be a different story, because Ben knows how to run a 2-minute drill. He knows how to run a red zone offense. Jones doesn't.
Well, that's obvious. Yeah, that's obvious right off the bat.
The thing is, to beat Pittsburgh
was,
in my opinion, to beat Pittsburgh was LeGarrette Blount.
Mm-hmm.
He had 127 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And
he stuck it to them. He stuck it to him, saying, hey, you cut my butt.
Yeah.
And years ago, I'm going to come back and whoop you.
Well, let me ask you this. As we talk about people that are kind of thumbing their nose at us, Brady, by the way, looks like, to me, Dave, like he has something to prove this season. And obviously, he was trying to stick it to the Steelers as well, and he'll do that probably the rest of the season. Was there anything that you found that could have probably happened maybe differently? Like, did our line get in there? Because you always mention, hey, listen, if we actually rush this guy, if we make him uncomfortable in the pocket, he's not going to have time to throw. And for all intents and purposes, he seemed like he had all kinds of time yesterday.
No, not really. I thought the defense did. There were stretches there where they were doing exactly what they needed to without blitzing.
Okay.
It was very impressive what they were doing to keep, there were, it wasn't like Brady just ran the team up and down the field. There was that stretch there after they scored their first 2 touchdowns where the Steeler defense really held them at bay.
Well,
really had Brady out of sorts at that point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because they were blitzing or anything like that, but I did notice James Harrison got more than his share of playing time. So a tip of the cap to Mr. Butler for being able to do that part of it.
Yeah.
I still, those big gainers, like Jimmy was talking about where Blunt was able to rip off those big gains.
Right.
That's a blocking scheme failure. Somehow you're not watching or you're not prepared for something that the Patriots do to make those kinds of openings to let that runner get down the field. So if there's anything to pick about on the defense, it was why weren't you able to change to stop him from gaining those yards? Because once they're able to establish that they do have a ground game against you, that opens up the passing side of it.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened on all those drives. He would there would be a couple of runs thrown in there, rip off 15, 20, 25 yards. And then it's like, well, now you have to respect the run. Well, that changes what you do on defense. And now it gives you some opportunities as far as passing goes.
Right. It's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Jimmy Ty in the Philadelphia area tonight. Dave Shannon live in Altoona tonight, and Greg Banks in the studio. Hey, Brady looked like he was dinking and dunking all day yesterday from time to time. Speaking of that secondary of ours, to Gronkowski, of course, one of his favorite targets, and Edelman. And also Blunt coming out of the backfield as well, not just running, but getting out there and, of course, getting a couple of catches as well. Is there anything that indicates to you, now Shazier was in there yesterday for a while, and you had mentioned Harrison was in there, but that secondary, William Gay, I thought he had gotten burned a couple times yesterday, Jimmy. Yeah, he's still playing a little soft from time to time.
Yeah, Gay plays soft defense. Brady's a veteran quarterback who knows what quarterbacks or what safeties you can throw against, and William Gay is one of them.
Right.
Let's say if Brady is playing against the Arizona Cardinals, for darn well he's not going to throw against Patrick Peterson, or if he's playing the Redskins, he's not going to throw towards Josh Norman.
Yeah.
William Gay, because he plays soft defense. That has always been Pittsburgh's mistake, is their defensive backs.
Well, that's true
they play
too.
Soft defense, but the thing is, you have to give credit to where credit's due. Going into that third quarter, that score was 14-13.
Yeah.
14-13. Pittsburgh they were losing by 1 point until Gronkowski had that, what was it, Dave? Like a 40-yard or 30-yard or something touchdown?
Yeah, it was 40. Yeah, it was 40
yeah,
plus,
it was a 40-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
And then right after that, Blunt scores his touchdown. But yeah, getting back to your question, it was more William Gay, Mike Mitchell, all them guys, they play soft defense. Even I was praising when Pittsburgh picked up Artie Burns out of Miami in the draft.
Yeah.
I'm like, that guy's going to be a stud. He's going to be awesome.
Right. Well, just
I'm
looking.
wrong.
Yeah, just
but
looking.
You have to also have to look at this. Big Ben was hurt, right?
Right.
Antonio
we know
got
that.
hurt somewhere during the game. D'Angelo was out.
Yeah.
Shazier hardly played.
Right.
Right there's some of our studs playing against them, but we still held in check with them.
Well, we did, and you know what? And they did look somewhat positive, as you mentioned. They kept it close. I'm looking at the scoring line here. Patriots basically scored in every quarter. They had 7 in the first, 7 in the second, 6 in the third. It looks like 7 with that Blunt touchdown in the fourth. The Steelers primarily, the scoring that we did, was basically with the foot yesterday. When it was all said and done, although we had that first touchdown, I believe, early on in the game, the first quarter. Is there any bright spot and any hope for the Steelers this season, playoff-wise, Dave? Because Now I'm looking as we go into the bye this week. We head towards Baltimore. We've got the Ravens yet. We've got Cincinnati, Cleveland, Dallas. I mean, we've got some teams that are going to give us some stuff. And if Big Ben doesn't get in there for a couple of games, we could have some problems. Dave?
Well, I'll tell you what. At one time, I was worried about the Ravens, and I watched them yesterday, and I don't know if Flacco, they were talking about that he was having a problem with his shoulder. Joe Flacco, there is no excuse for the Ravens not beating the Jets.
Right.
And it seemed to have a good deal to do with Flacco and how accurately he was able to throw the ball. He did not. Flacco's one of those guys that fits in with the Roethlisberger and also Brady in that he has had so many game-winning drives at the end of games.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's not the case there yesterday. They were in the exact position where they could have marched down the field, and typically in the past what you would have thought would have been a situation the Ravens would have got out with like a 1 or 2 point victory with a last-minute drive run down the field by Joe Flacco. He doesn't have it. So
no.
I was concerned about the Ravens. Now, not so much. So I'm not so much worried about them. The Cowboys, well, I'll tell you what, they're a juggernaut now.
Oh, man, there's no doubt. We talked about Dak Prescott the last couple of weeks. Before we move on to some other news from the NFL, and in particular, of course, Big Ben, of course, with that injury, I got the indication yesterday, Jimmy and Dave, that he might be back earlier than first assumed. Like we were thinking maybe he'd be out 4 weeks, but he was actually on the sideline throwing a little bit. I think he was going to work out today and maybe during this bye week.
I look at it like Pittsburgh has the bye week.
Right.
So that gets him an extra week of recovery. They'll play Landry Jones against Baltimore.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ben will come back against the Dallas Cowboys, the Godfather's team. My buddy up at work, the Godfather. That's his team. He'll come back against them, and he'll have a huge game.
Are you hoping Big Ben will be coming back against the Eagles in that game then, right? We're hopeful that the Cowboys. I'm sorry. Yeah.
He'll come back November 13th against the Cowboys.
Okay, well, I'm hoping that's the case. Right there. Well, looking at yesterday, some of the other games around the league, there are no longer any undefeated teams because your buddies down there in Philadelphia put a kind of a whooping on those Minnesota Vikings. That was kind of a surprise. Now, I didn't watch much of that game, but I did see some of the scoring. Wentz didn't look too bad, but I think they controlled the offense yesterday is what happened.
Offensive line.
Exactly.
The Minnesota Vikings offensive line was dominant throughout how many games, Dave? Like 5 games or 6 games or whatever it is?
Well,
6,
they're 5-1. Yeah, 5 games.
Those that offensive line, they got to Sam Bradford. When you get pressure on Sam Bradford, he screws up. No wonder why they drafted Carson Wentz.
Right.
And they threw Bradford up in the good old Minnesota neighborhood.
Okay.
Whatever you want to call that. But yeah, it was the offensive line for Minnesota Vikings that failed them.
Okay. So I don't know if that means anything for the Philadelphia Eagles, although now Vikings are 5-1 on the season, and the Eagles are now 4-2. And, of course, they always have that rivalry with the Redskins and with the Cowboys, being that they're the other Pennsylvania team. Do you see any bright spots for the Eagles right now, Jimmy?
Yeah, and free coffee at Dunkin' Donuts up here in Hamburg.
Is that
every time the I did not know this.
I didn't know it either.
And this is true. I did not know this because I don't drink coffee.
Okay.
This girl at my work, Katie.
Yeah.
And another girl at my work, Angie. They were talking to one day, and they're like, yeah, the Eagles, they win, we get free coffee.
No
I'm
kidding.
Like, you serious? So every time the Eagles win, you get free coffee.
Yeah. So
Dunkin' Donuts.
So you notice.
It's Papa John's when the Steelers win the next
day.
You
get free pizza.
Oh, is that the way that works? Okay. Well, I'm going to have to check out Papa John's then. Hopefully next time we play Baltimore, I can get that free pizza. But, hey, let me ask you guys this.
For real, the Eagles,
the
Eagles are one of them teams that's an up and down team.
Yeah, they are.
One week they'll dominate. The next week, they'll fall flat on their face.
Well, here again, we talked about
one of them teams that's an up and down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we talked about the similarities
with
the
playoffs.
Well,
I'll say this.
Yeah,
the Eagles will make the playoffs this year, but all depends how hot they are, or in that one in the playoff game if they're going to advance or not.
Well,
will make the playoffs.
Yeah, there are obviously similarities between they and the Steelers because, of course, they play some of the worst teams, and they get beat as well as the Steelers. Hey, meanwhile, let me ask you guys this. This was something that happened, I think, last week, and it's an ongoing situation with the kicker for the New York Giants. Josh Brown. Supposedly, for years, this guy had been abusing his wife. And I don't want to bring up personal stuff, but again, I'm looking at what Goodell laid out to Ray Rice, who will probably never get in the league again, because the guy just can't get a job based on what happened. And he sat out, for his time and just could never come back. Knowing what you know now about this Josh Brown and the abuse that he caused with his wife, I mean, basically he enslaved this woman. And it's all documented, I guess, in a diary that he put together. What do you think Goodell's move should be? And does he play like double standards from time to time? I mean, you guys noticing that, Jimmy?
Reinstate Ray Rice. Ray Rice did everything that he was supposed to do. He's now talking to college kids about, hey, I made these mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't follow my path if you want to go in the league. Ray Rice, yes.
Well, he's a man without a team right now, though, Jimmy.
Beating up his girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
One time.
Yes.
One time. Josh Brown beat his wife up 1,000 times, it seems.
Yeah.
They should bring Ray Rice back, throw Josh Brown out of the league, terminate him, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Ray Rice got blackballed. Let's face it.
That's what happened to him.
In the league.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been following this, Dave. I just wanted to kind of throw it out there because it seems to me like there's double standards going on in this league. And if they're going to address like some of these social ills that happen in everybody's life, I mean, in every walk of life, not just, the NFL, they're going to have to come up, the NFLPA, the Players Association and the league are going to have to come up with some kind of standards here. Because last week, after this Josh Brown incident, there was a player, and I can't remember who it was, who said, okay, listen, they get you for celebrating in the end zone, doing the dancing. So what I'm going to do is I'm pulling out a beer, and I'm going to chug a beer when I score my next touchdown. Now, that's not written in the rule books anywhere that you can't have a beer. So, although we know that's probably a bad PR move, Dave. Okay.
Yeah, I would say so.
But there again, the NFL is promoting beer every game, okay? And we're not talking about anything illegal here, like beating your wife, and being.
They're promoting
this guy's actually
media.
Yeah. So
social media, but if a couple years ago, who was it? Joe Horn of the Saints pulled out his cell phone.
And who was our kicker that got caught at the Sheets in Monroeville? Busting up the bathroom, and we had to kick him out of there.
Reed.
Yeah, whatever happened to Jeff Reed.
Jeff Reed.
Well, and he was on that slow boat to China, man, as soon as that happened, although he was on his way out anyhow, I believe. But, having said that, there have to be some standards, obviously written into these contracts. I'm not sure when the next collective bargaining is going to happen. But you know what? If Goodell really wants to avoid a train wreck here, the guy is going to have to stand up because – the Pink Ribbon campaign, you're talking about women mostly with cancer. Now you're talking about domestic abuse, and it happens all the time in the league. Well, if one guy's going to go, they all got to go. That's the way I look at it.
The thing about Josh Brown is, he's still getting paid his millions.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
on the exempt list. He's still getting paid his millions. Ray Rice, he did what he did.
And he got no money coming in at all.
No money, nothing. But Josh Brown, oh, God, he's still getting paid.
Well, anyhow.
Except this year, you're not allowed to travel to London. Who cares if you want to see Big Ben and the Queen and all that other garbage?
You don't get a chance to really see much, Jimmy, when you go there. You fly in and you fly out.
Paid. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, did any of you guys get up and watch that game at 9 o'clock yesterday morning?
No.
I didn't either.
No.
I had no idea it was even being played, nor did half of America, I imagine, Anyhow, Monday Night Sports
Talk.
Talk.
They say the viewing for the NFL is down.
It's down, yeah.
Part of it may be, some of the reasons that you're talking about.
Well, those and
conduct of some of the players in the league.
Oh, there's no doubt.
You have to look at the games they have.
Oh,
Thursday night's going to be Jacksonville, Tennessee. Who really gives a hoot and holler about them two teams?
Yeah, let me ask you this, Dave. Is there an oversaturation of these games? We've got Monday night now. We've got Thursday night. We've got Sundays. Thursday nights, I mean, come on, it's deplorable. Some of those matchups, I got to believe, man, you're just like soaking these guys. I get off the field, let's say on a Sunday, and I've got to be somewhere on Thursday. There's no time to rehab or recoup.
Let me tell you this,
what
Greg,
kind of product do they expect?
if you can get the advertisers that are currently advertising on Thursday Night Football to stop advertising, there will no longer be any Thursday Night Football. Now, as long as you got people, and when the NFL comes to them, because Thursday night is the NFL, CBS does carry some of those games, but those games belong to the NFL Network. So when the NFL Network salesperson comes into, Geico and says, hey, you want to be on Thursday Night Football, don't you? And it's like, no, not unless you start playing some half-decent games. So consider I'm done with you at the end of this year. Well, I made a mistake. I bought the ads with you. I'm done. And when that happens from enough different advertisers, guess what? There won't be any Thursday Night Football anymore.
And that only makes some sense. So it is a watered-down product. I mean, we're not getting we're not paying for it. Well, we are, I guess, because if you have cable, the dish, or whatever, you are paying to watch these football games. Otherwise, you don't get them over the air, so that's just how it is. Hey, Jimmy, let's move on to fantasy football here on Monday Night Sports Talk as we wrap up this segment. Tell us a couple of the hot ones and some of the shot ones, if you will. Some of the guys that are we're looking forward to this week, or perhaps guys that did well this weekend.
Well, LeGarrette Blount, as we all know, of course, what he did against the Steelers. A name that Isaiah Crowell, the Cleveland Browns running back. He's a hot guy to get right now. Another one I would say would be Rob Gronkowski.
Okay.
Right now, because he has that rapport with Brady all these years. So I would pick Gronk right now. I would take Gronk in my league.
How about the kid that burned us from Miami, that Jaya or Jay or what? How do they pronounce his name?
Yeah,
he had a great game yesterday.
200 yards.
Yeah.
He passed Arian Foster. He's now number 1 on the depth chart. So, nobody knew who this guy was. No, he's a hot pick in Fantasy Football League.
Yeah.
So if you want to get a running back right now who's hot, he's the hottest running back right now in the league, pick up Ajay of the Denver Broncos.
Well, Miami Dolphins, right? Was he with the Dolphins, I think?
Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Did he just have a great performance yesterday and against the Steelers, or has he been performing like this all season? Had you ever heard of him before? I've never heard of the guy before he played the Steelers.
He was the backup.
Okay.
He was the backup for Arian Foster, but once Arian Foster went down, he took over. And another player would be David Johnson of the Arizona Cardinals. 113 yards.
Wow.
It's his 7th straight or 6th straight 100-yard game.
Yeah. Michael
Crabtree of Oakland, 8 receptions, 96 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some big-time players out there that not too many people are think of, and the big one is Ajay of the Dolphins.
All right, that's Jimmy Ty, our fantasy football guy, talking about some of the fantasy picks for this week. Meanwhile, as we mentioned, the Steelers have off this week, a bye week. They'll take on Baltimore coming up next week. But coming up next here on the airnetwork.net, Monday Night Sports Talk with Dave Shannon in Altoona, Jimmy Ty in Berks County. Going to talk a little football, but collegiate football this time, and some excitement here in our area, in our region, in Happy Valley. That's coming up next here on Monday Night Sports Talk. Stick around. Grab the Big Kahuna, the 24 square cut pizza with your choice of one topping for only $19.99. Now at All American Pizza and Subs at 612 Washington Street, downtown Huntington. All American Pizza and Subs has delivery, and they're the home of great pizza, subs, salad, wings, and more for lunch, dinner, or a late night snack. Call All American Pizza and Subs right now at 643-0222. Closed Mondays. All American Pizza and Subs. Like us on Facebook.
Brenneman's Meat Markets are celebrating nearly 70 years in providing Huntington County with quality USDA-approved processed pork, chicken, and beef products. Brenneman's has 2 locations in the county where the tradition of the finest meats are found in the region. Stop by Brenneman's Huntington weekdays from 8 to 6, Saturdays 8 to 3. Mount Union, open 9 to 5 weekdays and 9 to 2 on Saturdays. Choose specials of $10 to $50 meat packs containing your favorite meats. Or stop by and ask about our select custom cuts, prepared and packaged while you wait. Brenneman's Meat Markets in Huntington and Mount Union. Call our office at 814-643-2751 for specials and more information.
Huntington Moose Family Center 223 is the heart of the community. Becoming a member of the Huntington Moose enables you to join friends who have served the community for over 100 years. Support the women of the Moose and their upcoming hoagie sale. Freshly made hoagies, only $6. Order yours now for a November 10th delivery. The Huntington Moose Family Center 223, serving the community with the best value in town. Like us on Facebook.
D.C. Goodman and Sons and the Goodman family are committed and dedicated to excellence by supporting quality education and athletics for all youth of Huntington County. For over 3 generations, D.C. Goodman and Sons and their staff of quality tradesmen have provided excellent service in the installation of plumbing, mechanical and industrial piping, electrical, and fire sprinkler systems. Residential services are also available. D.C. Goodman and Sons and the Goodman family will continue to serve the community, and thank you for your support. The Goodman family wishes you the best to all area students in your pursuit of excellence. Pennsylvania Highlands Community College provides you the option to earn an associate degree, diploma, or certificate at an affordable cost. The Penn Highlands Huntington Center, located on Margie Drive in Huntington, offers degree programs in business management, criminal justice, liberal arts and sciences, and psychology. Are you ready to take the next step on your career path? Contact Penn Highlands Huntington at 814-643-6200 or visit Penn Highlands Community College online at pennhighlands.edu.
It's Monday Night Sports Talk on the Air Network.net. Greg Banks in the studio, Dave Shannon live from Altoona, and Jimmy Ty in Berks County near Philadelphia. Well, there was an incredible whiteout, I must add. About 107,000 people at Beaver Stadium on Saturday that watched that game, Dave, between, of course, the Penn State and Indy Lions and Ohio State. And I guess you, me, and Jimmy, we all kind of like were befuddled because we predicted that it was going to be a landslide. And it was anything but a landslide. What an exciting game, Dave Shannon, that we watched there on Saturday. Unreal.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it happens that with Ohio State and the type of team they are, and we have talked about this before with other sports, for example, the Penguins. Everyone's playing their Stanley because they're the Stanley Cup champs.
Yeah.
There's a different way that teams play you the year following. Ohio State has become a perennial powerhouse, and for Penn State, that game is kind of their national championship game when they take on Ohio State. So, I think the players come in with a different attitude. The thing that was obviously the most impressive about that game was the defense. The Penn State defense was so well prepared for the Ohio State Buckeyes that it was awfully darn impressive. The way they came out and played that game. And that's what won the game for them is being that prepared to take on Ohio State. What a job defensively for them.
That was certainly a nail-biter throughout the entire game, Jimmy. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, it was just one of those thrilling games that came down really to the end, Dave, where it was like, I think 4 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. And, of course, Ohio State, I believe they were going for 3 at the time because the score would have been, let's see, well, Penn State was down by, at least down by 7, I think, at that time. They had, So, basically, what we were looking at was near the end of the game, basically a field goal just to kind of, like, shut this thing down. Well, not to be.
Kind of make the betting people really angry.
It would have been really upsetting to them because it was close anyhow, because Penn State really was an 18-point underdog in many aspects going into that game. So we get down to the last moment. A kid, and I can't recall his name, he gets up and he hits the ball, and the other dude picks the ball up and runs for, I believe, a 60-yard touchdown. Yeah. The block kick.
The block kick was there.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was incredible. And obviously the place just went wild. From that point on, I was really hoping Penn State's got to hold on because there's still like at least, maybe 4 minutes left on the clock. It's just a matter of clock control. And you know what? I was thinking that Meyer was going to pull something out of the hat, and it just wasn't to be. And I felt really good for Coach James Franklin, because you know what? Finally, and it was a big weekend. They had a lot of recruits on campus too, Dave. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That you couldn't put on a better show.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, finally, the defense, the defense really kind of held their own. The offense wasn't shady either. Barkley looked half decent. The quarterback, McSorley, certainly didn't have a bad game. You know what I mean?
Oh, he had
tight.
An outstanding game.
Yeah.
I mean, if it weren't for him being willing to run the football often as he does.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine any quarterback over the last, couple of reiterations of Penn State football that would have been able to take the football and run that effectively? Yeah, they could have taken the football and run, but not as effectively as what McSorley does.
Oh, man.
The kid's got some serious speed. Now, that's a little bit of a detriment, too. He's got that speed because he's not very big.
No.
He's not a physically imposing figure. So the one thing that everyone worries about as a coach is when you have this little quarterback who's good, but he's not afraid to run the football. And once the team starts to gel around that quarterback, it's like, my God, what are you doing? You're going to get hurt.
Going to get
Stop
hurt.
It.
Yeah.
I will say this, Greg.
Yeah.
I will say this. Ohio State's still going to be in that playoff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
Still going to be in that playoff, but the game they have to watch out for is
Michigan. Yeah, the Michigan. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, here again.
Michigan. Whoever wins that Michigan-Ohio State game is going to go to the Final Four in college football playoff.
Well, let me ask you this before we even get to that point. A lot of milestones, Dave. Like, for instance, I was just checking earlier today at that was the first time in Beaver Stadium history against a team that ranked so high since 1982. Now, mind you, Ohio State came in at number 2 this week. Penn State wasn't even ranked. They weren't even on the radar. Now. Well, they will be now, and some of the polls are showing up at number 24, and we'll talk about that. Also, it was the first against a top 2 team since 1990 against number 1 Notre Dame, is who they beat back then, all right, at home again. Also, the first time against a top 5 team since 1999 when they beat Arizona. And then the first against Ohio State since 2011. So imagine this is the first time.
Penn State's going to beat Purdue.
Oh, yeah. Purdue has a new coach, Jimmy. I mean, they're just getting kind of acclimated. They had a coach change in the middle of the season, if you will. I think Franklin's ready for whatever is yet to come there on their schedule. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but that was certainly emotional, Dave, as I watched the ending of that game and the outpouring of the students. My only fear was that they were going to take a goalpost down, and I didn't think that was necessary. And they didn't. They didn't take it down.
No, they didn't. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that, and it's not as en vogue as it was when you and I were children. That was the cool thing to do.
Who needs
to
a
run
goalpost?
out on the field and get a group of people and bring the goalpost down. That was a big deal.
But you know what?
And that happened a number of times at Penn State over the course of time. But eventually, it was just like it got poo-pooed enough, and there is a potential. I don't know if people realize how heavy those dang things are.
Oh, man.
And the potential for injury from somebody ripping down a goalpost is pretty big.
Somebody could take your head off, or if you're in that crowd and that throng of people, when it comes down, it's going to take a few people out, and you may get trampled like a Who concert in Cincinnati. Because you and I remember that night, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't there in Cincinnati, but that's what happens. So having said that, congratulations to Penn State. By the way, it looks like they're on the uptick because that's their second win in a row, I believe, this season. Yeah. Franklin's got to feel a little bit better going into that Purdue game. Having said that, now, downtown in the Canyon area, Dave, you and I both worked in State College, so we know that corridor known as Beaver Canyon. And it got crazy down there. 5,000 to 10,000 students pouring out into the street, people hanging from trees and light standards which were broken off. Anybody has any video, please call the state police or the state cops in State College area because they want to see your video, and I'm sure you probably have it. Not that you should be snitching on anyone, but hell, it's costing we taxpayers enough money to send these kids to Penn State. We don't need our stuff torn up either.
Well, plus take this into account.
Right.
Do you want to be known?
Oh my
God. And we had this discussion last week about, where West Virginia fits in.
Yeah.
Do you want to be the new Morgantown? Is that what you want to be as a student attending Penn State University, do you want to be known as the new Morgantown?
And I even
said, you're going to start burning couches on the streets.
That's exactly.
Now?
I said they would have already been on fire if this would have been Morgantown on Saturday night. Although they did burn a few couches, but that wasn't the major problem. The major problem was a couple of dudes got hit in the head with beer bottles. You got 5,000 students, 10,000 students downtown. They bring the cops in. You know, it's the near riot is what it is. You know, there was a lot of thuggery going on.
It was like the riots of whenever they fired Joe Paterno.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. I remember that, Jimmy. I know what you're going to say. They turned that car over. Yeah, that truck over. So
it was WTAJ.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But listen, I don't remember that happening under Joe's watch where a lot of kids came out on the field. Although, I don't know, Dave, maybe it didn't happen during the national championship and stuff. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So at least good for State College or Penn State because you know what? They deserve that. They deserve that win, and I hope that means something good for them in the Big Ten. Meanwhile, Jimmy, let me talk about Pitt this week. They're taking on Virginia Tech on Thursday. You know, Pitt's not having a bad season either. You know what I mean? Oh. Now, Virginia Tech, I don't have the record close to me, and I need to probably pull that up. But you know what? How do you see that game turning out on Thursday night when Pitt takes on Virginia Tech? That'll be home, by the way. That'll be at home.
It's going to be at Heinz Field. Their Tech's ranked 25th in the nation right now going into this game. Pitt has 3 straight wins, but Virginia Tech's second in the ACC Coastal Division with a 5-2 record. Where Pitt also has the 5-2 record.
Okay, so this could be a real good game to be watching. I imagine it'll be on ESPN, right?
This is a key game for the Pitt Panthers because their next 2 games are against Miami, down in Coral Gables, and Clemson away.
Oh, really? Okay.
So this is a key game for the Pitt Panthers to win. They win this, they are guaranteed a bowl bid.
Wow.
It could be the breadbasket bowl.
Yeah.
But still, they're guaranteed a bowl win. So James Conner and Henderson and Peterman and
they got to make it happen on Thursday.
They got to be focused. They got to beat Virginia Tech because if Pitt can beat Virginia Tech, the number 25th ranked team in the nation, you know, things are looking up for the Pitt Panthers right there.
Hey, let me go back. Speaking of rankings, we needed to touch on this before I move any further. Dave, the fact that Penn State would be number 24 this week, according to some of the polls. What's your thought on that? I mean, because I'm looking. Let's see. I don't have the poll here, so I don't know.
Well,
who's
they'll be back out. Don't worry about it.
They won't be there long, right?
The top 25.
Okay.
Soon.
That's what I'm thinking. You know, basically because of the fact they beat Ohio State. That's the only reason they're there. They'll get
that's a tip of the cap to the accomplishment, no doubt.
So they'll get that sniff this week, and then they'll be out of there probably next week. And maybe I'd like to see Pitt make it, Jimmy. But to be quite honest, I don't see where they really play unless they knock off somebody like Clemson or someone like Alabama, which they don't play. It ain't going to happen for the Pitt Panthers this year. Hey, speaking of
games are Miami, at Clemson, Duke, and Syracuse.
All right. Well, the
last road game is at Clemson, which is number 3 in the nation. You know, but as we all talked about, Penn State's going to get crushed by Ohio State.
Yeah.
You know, we could say that about Pitt going against Clemson.
Oh, yeah, we could say that against Clemson, but I don't think that'll happen against Virginia Tech.
It's not going to happen.
No.
James Conner has a 200-yard game.
Right. Well, anyhow.
But the big game is against Virginia Tech.
That's coming up Thursday.
In the nation.
Yep.
They're second in the Coastal. Pitt's third in the Coastal Division. You know, with the same record. You know, but if you want to look at the ACC, we all talk about Ohio State and
we talk about the Big Ten and stuff.
If you look at the ACC, Pitt's conference, right?
Right.
My prediction is going to be this, and you can quote me on this.
All right.
Clemson's going to be in the ACC championship game.
Okay.
And they're going to be playing against Louisville. Whoever wins that game in the conference championship game is going to go on to play in the Final Four.
Right.
And now it's going to be the Louisville Tigers.
Okay. And let me ask you this. Who are we looking at in the Final Four this year? Obviously, Dave, Alabama will be there. Well, probably Clemson might be there. Although, Michigan will definitely be there. At the point that they're going right now, is Michigan, they're still undefeated, right? So you only have Alabama and Michigan undefeated? The only 2 teams that
Washington?
Yeah,
isn't Washington still
maybe
undefeated?
Washington? Yeah, they may be in there too. But my top four
Nobody talks about the nobody.
Well, they don't talk about the
that
Pac-10.
conference.
You don't. Hey, listen. Very seldom do you talk Pac-10, or very seldom do you talk Big 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Pac-12.
Pac-12 now. Okay, so you understand what I'm saying, because those games are so late at night, Jimmy. I don't think the majority of America actually sees them because of the time element. Although, and that's why we pretty much ignore them, those guys on the West Coast or in the northwestern part of the country.
And that's why some of them guys who are like on like Stanford or
who
are on Oregon or Washington, they never win the Heisman. They may be coming second in the Heisman,
right?
But they don't win the Heisman because they don't have the East Coast voters.
Exposure.
Yeah.
They don't have the East Coast voters or whatever looking at these games.
Well, let's appreciate the fact that the Heisman,
Alabama's or the Ohio States or the Michigans, they don't look at the West Coast game.
Right, and the Heisman is
Washington is 7-0.
And where are
the Pac-12?
Where is a Heisman awarded every year? In what city?
New York.
In the Mecca of media, which is New York. So that makes a lot of sense. 2 questions right now. My top 4 this week. I got to go with Alabama, Michigan. I'm probably going to go with Louisville. I don't know. There again, I don't know much about Washington, but I'll stick them in there for all intents and purposes. That would be my top 4 this week. Any idea who you have, Jimmy, and then Dave? Who would be your top 4 this week?
I would go with Alabama's going to be your top seed. Washington's going to be your 3rd seed.
Okay.
Michigan
is definitely in there.
Louisville.
Okay, in Louisville. Dave, pretty much the same, or any change in the top 4?
No, I think that'll do for this week. I like
that could change
the thinking
again
behind that, but I'll tell you what, anybody that thinks that Ohio State won't be back
they'll be back. They'll be back.
By the end of the season, you're sorely mistaken.
Well, there is a Michigan-Ohio State game, right? Do those
Michigan-Ohio State?
Oh, that ought to be a hell of a game there, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's like a preview or a precursor to what's to come this year for those two.
And I'll tell you the other thing, we just talked about Washington. That's going to be your sleeper team to maybe make it, into the championship game when this is all said and done.
Heisman Award, who's that go to, Jimmy? McCaffrey was looking good at one time. Or was a kid out in Stanford. He was in there.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, but you know what?
Go to Lamar Jackson. It's going to go to the Louisville quarterback, Lamar
At this
Jackson.
point, it looks like Jackson, right? Because, I mean, this guy
more
just...
TDs now.
Yep.
This year alone, he has more TDs than any Heisman-winning quarterback that ever won the Heisman this late in the season.
Right. Okay. All right.
That's what they look at.
Just checking, man. Just checking in. Hey, let me take a break here real quick, guys, and let's get into some baseball, Dave, because I know we want to talk baseball and hockey. It's all coming up next here on Monday Night Sports Talk. Dave Shannon in Altoona, Jimmy Ty in Berks County down around Philadelphia, and Greg Banks in the studio. We'll be right back. Stick around for more, of course, Monday Night Sports Talk. Mel's Concrete in Huntington has over 20 years experience in providing you with quality concrete work. When you have any job dealing with concrete, call Mel Woomer at 643-0909. Mel's Concrete specializing in porches, patios, basements, sidewalks, and more. Mel's Concrete also specializes in snow removal. There's no job too big or too small when it comes to concrete. Call Mel's Concrete, LLC at 643-0909.
DC Goodman & Sons and the Goodman family are committed and dedicated to excellence by supporting quality education and athletics for all youth of Huntington County. For over 3 generations, DC Goodman & Sons and their staff of quality tradesmen have provided excellent service in the installation of plumbing, mechanical and industrial piping, electrical, and fire sprinkler systems. Residential services are also available. DC Goodman & Sons and the Goodman family will continue to serve the community, and thank you for your support. The Goodman family wishes you the best to all area students in your pursuit of excellence.
Grab the Big Kahuna, the 24-square cut pizza with your choice of one topping for only $19.99. Now at All American Pizza and Subs at 612 Washington Street, downtown Huntington. All American Pizza and Subs has delivery, and they're the home of great pizza, subs, salad, wings, and more for lunch, dinner, or a late-night snack. Call All American Pizza and Subs right now at 643-0222. Closed Mondays. All American Pizza and Subs. Like us on Facebook.
Pennsylvania Highlands Community College provides you the option to earn an associate degree, diploma, or certificate at an affordable cost. The Penn Highlands Huntington Center, located on Margie Drive in Huntington, offers degree programs in business management, criminal justice, liberal arts and sciences, and psychology. Are you ready to take the next step on your career path? Contact Penn Highlands Huntington at 814-643-6200 or visit Penn Highlands Community College online at pennhighlands.edu.
The Huntington Moose Family Center 223 is the heart of the community. Becoming a member of the Huntington Moose enables you to join friends who have served the community for over 100 years. Support the women of the Moose and their upcoming hoagie sale. Freshly made hoagies, only $6. Order yours now for a November 10th delivery. The Huntington Moose Family Center 223, serving the community with the best value in town. Like us on Facebook.
Brenneman's Meat Markets are celebrating nearly 70 years in providing Huntington County with quality USDA-approved processed pork, chicken, and beef products. Brenneman's has 2 locations in the county where the tradition of the finest meats are found in the region. Stop by Brenneman's Huntington weekdays from 8 to 6, Saturdays 8 to 3. Mount Union, open 9 to 5 weekdays and 9 to 2 on Saturdays. Choose specials of $10 to $50 meat packs containing your favorite meats. Or stop by and ask about our select custom cuts, prepared and packaged while you wait. Brenneman's Meat Markets in Huntington and Mount Union. Call our office at 814-643-2751 for specials and more information.
All right, got about 13 minutes. It's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Dave Shannon and Elton and Jimmy Ty live from the Philadelphia area. And Dave, after all that food talk there the last couple of moments, I'm truly hungry. And then watching that guy walk out of there the other day from All American Pizza with that big kahuna. He had 6 of them, right? I think they had like 6 big kahunas. Woo! Anyhow, we've got Dave Shannon along with Jimmy Ty. Guys, let's talk some baseball. You ready for baseball, Dave?
Wait.
Whoop,
I want to get this in. Tip the cap to the cooks and everyone working at All American Pizza on Saturday when we were there.
Ooh, yeah, man.
Had one of the things that's not mentioned
what was
in the
that?
menu list there in the commercial was Strombolis.
Oh, man.
I can heartily recommend the Strombolis.
It was massive, that thing you had. Woo.
Yes, it was.
That was like enough for 2 meals, man. Seriously, it was.
It really was.
Hey,
so,
Jimmy, when you get
really
up this way, we'll take you over next time. How's that sound? We'll get you one.
If you come down this way, I'll take you down to Louis or Cousins.
Okay, what is that now? What do they have? Because now you got me thinking.
And Stromboli.
Okay, well, we'll try some of that. We'll try some of that Philadelphia Stromboli and, of course, pizzas, Dave. Hey, speaking of which, I know that here it is, the exciting time of the year. I mean, people, believe it or not, Dave, well, they're going to cemeteries today and putting down flowers for those that waited for the Cubs to win a World Series or at least get back to one. Now that they're back there, what are they going to do with the Indians? I mean, because, man, this is probably not that bad of a matchup if you think about it.
Well, it was a damn good question. I was thinking about that as we were, time was getting closer to do Monday Night Sports Talk here on the Air Network tonight. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking,
man, what's the matchup?
I am damn near willing to predict that this goes 7 games and the Indians end up being the team that wins.
You think? Whoa.
I am really, I hate to do that. I love the Cubs. As a matter of fact, this surprised me because, like I said, Saturday I'm splitting time between the Penguins, the Cubs and Dodgers, and Penn State, Ohio State. Well, that game-ending double play, I actually did not, people talk about laugh out loud. This was a scream out loud and a fist pump on my couch for the Cubs winning the National League pennant, which it's like, what the heck am I doing?
It's a relief.
I was excited about it, but I'll tell you what, do not sell the Cleveland Indians short. I think they're just on such a roll. They won 4 games to 1. By the way, Jimmy and I are taking our collective pats on the back or any other body part that we'd like to be patted on.
You called?
For predicting both the American League and National League Championship Series outcomes far as the number of games and what the final totals were. But right now, I'm looking at this, and I'm so impressed with Cleveland. I'm willing to say 7 games, and the Indians end up winning it 4 games to 3.
Wow. Jimmy, what do you foresee coming up in this series between the Indians and the Chicago Cubs. I call it the Midwestern Monster. This is the one. It's going to be snowing, Dave.
Yeah.
Somewhere it's going to be snowing a couple of nights, especially in Chicago this time of year. I don't know, Jimmy. You don't have to make a prediction right now because we may still be into the series next week, but still, I don't know.
Well, you're going to have Ricky Vaughn, the Wild Thing. You're going to have Pedro Serrano.
All right.
For the Cleveland Indians, you're going to have Henry Roland Gardner.
Okay.
Oh, I'm talking about movies. That these two teams are in. But for real, it's gonna be one dandy of a game.
Yeah.
Dandy, yeah. I said dandy.
Dandy of a game.
Dandy. No, but I'm gonna look at the Cubs because of their hitting. They have Dexter Fowler, Chris Bryant, Rizzo.
Mm-hmm.
But what's gonna win the World Series is pitching, and my belief is the Chicago Cubs has a better starting pitching staff than Cleveland Indians. And then you throw in Chapman.
Right.
Finish out the game.
Man. Dave, he was throwing
Lackey.
That dude was throwing some heat.
Lackey, Lester, Arrieta. Yeah. That's a tough, three-man rotation to go through.
What was his name? Hendricks?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hendricks.
Yeah, Hendricks, man.
Hendricks
how cool was he, Dave? That Hendricks was so cool on the mound on Saturday. It was unreal. You know what I mean?
It's going to be the Chicago Cubs. It's going to be Chicago Cubs in 5.
Well, here's the deal.
Will win the game. The Cubs will win the World Series in 5 games.
Yeah.
And it's going to be done in Wrigley Field, where it should be.
Oh, wouldn't that be so cool? Now, listen to this. What's really amazing is we have 2 managers, and I love both of these guys. Probably Joe Madden more, but they're both Pennsylvania boys. We got one from the East, I believe. That would be Joe Madden from Hazleton. Francona, I believe, comes from Beaver Falls or Beaver Valley. You know, I think he's in the western part of the state, but you couldn't ask for a better matchup when it comes to 2 managers that have the kind of minds that they have. Francona's kind of been there. Well, Madden's been there before, too, really.
Yeah, Francona has World Series wins with the
Red Sox. Yeah, so I'm thinking, and Madden has experience down in Miami or down in Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
So, here again, but, I think, really, I'm going to go out and say that it will go 7. Theo Epstein wins in the end. I mean, it just is something that is characteristic of him being general manager. He's done it, basically a winner in Boston. I think he can be a winner in Chicago. I don't know what the Indians really bring other than, wouldn't it be wild if they win it this year and the Cavs win it earlier this year? Finally.
City champions, baby.
The city
minus the Browns.
Yeah, you can forget about the Browns. Yeah. But, even years that the Phillies and maybe the Flyers look good, then the Sixers don't, or vice versa. There's always that one team that you got to kind of look at and say, yeah, they're the only stepchild in this family. They're the ones that really suck, but nobody talks about them, So I think that's what we're going to be up against in this series, and what a series I'm looking forward to. Now, let me ask you this, Dave. Here's what's confusing. When I was a kid, WGN played all the Chicago games. We would get home, I believe. Well, this is when cable, the cable era in the 80s, though. I would be working. I'd be able to get home maybe at 4:30 to watch some of the games that we're playing. Atlanta, by the way, those games on TBS. The Mets were they on PXI or one of those New York stations?
OR.
Yeah,
OR.
OR.
And the Yankees were on PXI.
That's right. So, those were the days that...
Actually, PIX.
Yeah, those were the days because, at that time, KDKA wasn't running. We didn't have, Fox Sports at the time with the Pirates. There was that KBL there that kind of came on very slowly. But as far as seeing the Pirates every day, we just didn't see them like we do now. But having said that, you have to have an affinity for these teams that you grew up with and you watched. And, of course, Ernie Banks. It was always said that he was my uncle. And I sent him a no, that's what my mother used to say. That's your uncle. Although I never met the guy. I sent him a letter when I was 12 years old, and he actually responded to it. And I got to say, man, I was a stupid kid because I didn't save the letter. I have no idea where that is now. But Mr. Cub, Ron Santo, a lot of those guys have to be looking, and Harry Carey looking down and smiling now, man, Because that goat is dead.
Absolutely.
The goat is dead. So, yeah.
Well, the goat will really
be dead yet. They have to win the World Series for
the goat will be dead when they get that in.
Okay.
When they get the series in, then it's dead.
But like the youngsters say, they don't even worry about it. When they were asked in the interviews, you worry about the past of the Cubs, and they're like, they had no idea what the history was, so it didn't matter to them. They were just having fun. And that's the way Joe Madden wanted them to play baseball. Just go out and have fun. He wasn't worried when they were down 2-1. So that'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
By the way, I thought it was very cool that they had Billy Williams down on the field.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's another great Cub. Yeah,
he's down there with all the guys, and
wow,
it just had to be a thrill for him, and of course a thrill for those guys too.
Exactly.
To have him down on the field with them. That's one thing I got to give those young guys credit. They really did their homework. They understand the heritage that's there with Chicago baseball and Wrigley Field, and it's a tough thing to get some respect at times out of the youth for things from the past, but they really do, and a tip of the cap because they're so young.
Yeah.
They're such a young team.
And they even admit to that. And the reason I mentioned all the TV stations is this. What damn network is this game going to be on? Is it going to just be on Fox? Okay.
Fox.
Thank God. Because
Fox regular channel.
Okay, because you know what? Here again, baseball and its infinite wisdom kind of throwing this game all over the place. Like, one series on FS1, which most of America probably doesn't get. And then there were games early on TBS, and it just got to be ridiculous. And I understand why they do that. It's sort of like the Final Four. When we have all these networks come out of the woodwork that I didn't even know even existed, and you're watching games everywhere. There's an example. True TV was a great example. I imagine they were all somehow affiliated with CBS, or, again, there's a connection there in selling ads and whatever happens. But anyhow, the best of luck to both teams as that gets underway tomorrow night. So
one other baseball note of worth for Pirates fans: if you didn't like the two coaches that were down the first and third base line, you don't have to worry about them anymore. They're both gone.
They're gone. Okay.
Nick Leyba will still be with the club in an office capacity.
Okay.
But Rick Sofield is gone.
Okay.
Not a part of the Pirates organization at all. And I know there were a lot of people. First of all, Nick Leyba took a beating for never sending guys.
Right.
And then Sofield takes over at third base, and he sends too many guys.
Yeah.
And so it's a tough thing.
They're weeding them out,
man. They don't have
man.
any announcement yet on replacements for either of those two guys, but they're both gone now.
All right, Monday Night Sports Talk, Dave Shannon, Jimmy Ty, and Greg Banks. By the way, Wednesday night, Ike Taylor and John Harris on the Ike Taylor Show at 10 p.m. And then it's Huntington football on Friday night, our final game of the season, as we take on Patterson of Baltimore. And we could actually get 130 points out of this team because they have they would be considered 6A, like Altoona or maybe Altoona, 6A this year because of the reclassification. And I understand they only have 18 kids on the team because most of them quit. So it may not be a long night. But let me get to this, Dave, real quick. Good news that Sid went on the ice today, at least practice. Any news on the Penguins? And Sid, go ahead, man. It's your floor.
Well, one of the things that's gone on was they did make an extension on the contract with Marc-Andre Fleury.
Okay.
And
so he's not going to Vegas.
With Matt Murray.
Matt Murray,
and
okay.
So the question came up to Jimmy Rutherford, it's like, well, does this mean that you're getting ready to get rid of Fleury?
Well.
It's like, no, that's not, he's trying to quell that.
How do you quell it with a 3-year contract? I mean, how do you quell it when you give Murray the 3-year extension?
Well, actually, they both have the same amount of time now. With the extension to Murray and the existing contract they have with Fleury, they match. They are exactly the same as far as length of time they're signed.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I've said this, after I saw Murray play in the preseason last year, Fleury's days were numbered.
Yeah.
And, of course, you got expansion coming, and you have an expansion draft coming. And they take players, from existing teams. And I don't know that Marc-Andre Fleury may not be the guy that gets offered up to the Las Vegas team.
Yeah.
So that that's the goalie they get to start with. So
is there any concern in Las Vegas about gambling? I mean, I'm sure every league has that that written into their contracts. I mean, obviously there must not be any kind of concern about going to Vegas.
No, and of course, we've been talking about this and skirting around it or actually addressing it. How much stuff gets done strictly for the benefit of money to a league, a team, or whatever. And that's what's going on. The NHL had a number of good overtures made by Las Vegas to have a hockey team there.
They've been going out there every year for their meetings at the end of the season. I mean, for the award ceremonies, The
award ceremony, yeah. So bottom line is, Las Vegas seriously wanted to have the thing, and the bottom line is they're going to get one. And I think that's where I think Marc-Andre Fleury may be the sacrificial lamb when it comes to the expansion draft. And I'm not concerned about that. I still like Fleury.
Yeah.
I think he's a solid guy. I think at times, he gives up a little too many goals, but hey, he is what he is and he's consistent.
Right.
So you can depend on what you're going to get out of Marc-Andre Fleury.
He's getting to that age too, man. I'm saying he's getting a little older and I'm sure a little bit, longer in the legs, as it were.
Or the tooth or whatever.
The tooth, yeah.
And the bad game by the Penguins on Saturday night talked about, trying to split time watching sporting events on Saturday night. And it didn't take long for me to just walk away from that Penguins-Nashville Predators game. People talk about the Penguins being down some very key players. And to be honest with you, Sid Crosby and Chris Letang being out of the lineup, those are probably two of the most important pieces of the Penguins lineup. But by the same token, the Nashville Predators were down quite a number of players as well. And they were able to put up 5 goals against the Penguins. So the one plus that happened in that game was the backup goalie to Marc-Andre Fleury. Fleury got pulled, and Condon came in and did a respectable job in goal then in the third period, keeping the Predators from getting any more goals. So early in the season, you hate to see a 5-1 loss. I hated to see that 4-0 loss, but then the Pens last week, they're down 2-0 heading into the third, and they came back and won that game against the San Jose Sharks in a rematch of the Stanley Cup and won it 3-2. What a job.
When are they back on the ice again, and who are they taking on? Tomorrow night. Okay, that'll be so you'll be watching baseball and Penguin hockey tomorrow night, man.
Yeah, more viewing conflicts. I love it.
Yeah. Hey, no problem with the remote, dude.
There you go.
All right, time to wrap up another edition of Monday Night Sports Talk. Thank you, Dave Shannon and Jimmy Ty. We had a lot of fun. We'll do it again next Monday night, live at 7 o'clock here on the airnetwork.net. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you back here next Monday. Thanks, guys.
See you, folks.